Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How AI is Revolutionizing Marketing Automation, produced by Marketing Profs and sponsored by Act On. I'm Jeffrey Thomas, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. Before we begin, a few updates and housekeeping notes. If you experience any audio or visual problems, please try to refresh the page or log out and log back in. If you're on Wi-Fi or if you have multiple applications open, it could impact your viewing experience. So when in doubt, close it out. Check the right-hand side panel for some fun engagement options. You can use the chat to connect with fellow marketers, and you can reply and send reactions to other comments by hovering over them. Please use the Q&A tab to the left of the chat to submit questions for our speaker. In there, you can also upvote your favorite questions, and as soon as our presentation ends today, we'll get to as many questions as we can, and we'll start with the most popular ones. There's a PDF of today's slide deck available for you to download in the Resources tab. That's the little icon that looks like two sheets of paper. And if you look to the bottom of your screen, you'll see an emoji button. Feel free to share your reactions throughout today's presentation. All right, I'd like to take a quick minute to thank Act On for sponsoring today's broadcast. Act On Marketing Automation empowers marketers to engage buyers at every step of the customer lifecycle, growing their business and generating higher customer lifetime value. Now, please join me in welcoming Jeff Day, who is presenting How AI is Revolutionizing Marketing Automation. Jeff is Yes, thank you for joining us. Jeff is SVP of Marketing at Act On, and he has 25 years and more of experience working on go-to marketing teams and managing all functions of marketing. He's passionate about building highly productive teams and driving growth in tech companies. And with that, I'm going to hand it over. Jeff, please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah, been around the block for a few times and have mostly focused my career in the marketing side, but definitely have had done times in product management, product marketing, sales. And I even started out my career as an engineer at Intel, which, as I say, at some point along the way, I fell backwards into marketing and have loved it ever since. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Really appreciate your participation. Hope this is a fun and informative and useful conversation. I will do my best to look at the Q&A and maybe answer some questions as they're timely and relevant to the slide that I have up. But it takes a certain skill set of multitasking and paying attention and making sure I don't say something weird while I'm trying to read a question. So probably a lot of stuff will get saved to the end. But again, so glad you're here. Thank you so much for taking your time. We're going to talk today about AI. I'm actually going to kind of skip over this agenda slide because you can read it. We don't need to go through it. Let's get right into the content. We're going to cover a lot of AI stuff and how all of the different AI types are going to impact marketing automation. And as a marketer, just kind of all the tools you use around marketing automation, right? So this isn't going to be about Act On per se. Of course, we're doing a lot of the things I'm talking about. It's how I know about them. But we're also going to talk about the industry in general and many other tools that you can bring to your disposal. AI, it's coming. It's both, I think, a friend and a foe, if you want to look at it both sides. But it's a big wave, and it's coming. And you can either be swamped by the wave, or you can surf it. In my, I'll call it right here. You can make this my prediction, and tell me 5 years from now whether I'm right or wrong. But this will be more transformative than software as a service and cloud was to the industry and how it impacts our lives and our jobs as marketers. I think it's probably going to be more along the lines of what the smartphone has done. We all have these now. They're incredibly powerful. Businesses have apps. Marketing automation can run on the phone. You get marketing emails on your phone. Incredibly powerful. It's transformed how we live and operate. And AI is going to do the same. It's going to transform everything we do in so many parts of our lives. So better get on board, grab the surfboard and catch the wave, right? So I don't know if any of you have seen this. It's gone around the internet quite a bit. Gabriel Medina, a Brazilian surfer from the Olympics. I don't know how they caught this shot. This is like the most amazing shot. Comes off this massive wave and does this great run in his performance in the Olympics, these recent 2024 Olympics, and he comes off the top of the wave and strikes this pose, and it's just awesome. I love it. Anyway, yes, be Gabriel Medina. Don't be the person who got swamped by the massive wave. Let's first set the context about talking about marketing automation today and kind of what it is and what it comprises, and then we'll go to how it's going to be transformed by AI. I'll go through this fairly quickly because I think this is pretty common knowledge for a lot of people. This is how we like to talk about, the customer lifecycle and how marketing automation is used to help drive that customer lifecycle. It starts with tracking those visitors on your website, and providing paths so that you can both track what they're doing on your website, but drive them to a form or a landing page, capture them as a lead, as a known contact. And then how do you integrate that data into your system, batch it, augment it, track it, hopefully not duplicate it across your CRM, other databases. How can you add information to augment and enrich that data from other sources? And how do you manage that data, through the lifetime and make sure that it's kept up to date and clean? And then, how do you respond to those leads and contacts that come in from all various different sources, not just your website, but many different sources? How do you look at them as unique audiences and segment your marketing outreach and communications to them based on demographic, firmographic, behavioral data? And how do you score them in terms of readiness to engage with you in a buying cycle? And then after you've sort of identified them and segmented them, of course, you want to communicate with them. You want to engage with them. So do that across multi-channels, multiple channels. Email is the prominent one with marketing automation, but most of us also provide social media channels, SMS communication, direct mail, and through your website through landing pages, sorry, and more and more also through chatbots or conversational AI agents on your website. So those truly multi-channel, omni-channel marketing at this point. And then, why did that go the wrong direction? There we go. Thank you. And then how do you look at all of that activity and those leads and those accounts, score them, predict whether they're going to become partners, customers, and provide all of that intelligence to sales so that they can have a more engaged conversation. And then finally, of course, reporting, advanced analytics, sharing the data possibly into a BI solution, all the tools that you need to help increase your performance as a marketer, right? What's my email performance? What's my website performance? How can I use these tools to continuously increase my performance? All that's going to change with AI. Every single part of that whole equation and more is going to change with AI, from AI content generation to how we augment the data and look at the data, how we segment and target and find those unique targets, and then personalize based off of what we know on those unique targets, how we generate AI-driven, automated, omni-channel marketing, predictive score, predictive guidance. We're going to talk about all this in further detail, right? So let's get into it. The point right now is this is going to impact everything we do as marketers, and across the whole marketing automation suite. And it's going to be awesome. So we're going to kind of look at things, and you'll see that we've tagged all of these different capabilities as what's available today, what solutions are coming in the near future soon, and then what's kind of on the plan, but it's probably going to take more than a year to get there. Content creation. Hopefully this is familiar to most of you, all of you already, recognizing that you can go into any number of conversational agents, ChatGPT, Gemini, all of the sort of purpose-built agents that are out there today, and say, generate content for me. generate, in this case, an email, or a long form piece of content, or a text message, based on a number of prompts about what you want and who you're going after and the tone and everything. Like, it's incredibly powerful. I hope you all have experienced this today and have played with it a little bit. It's not 100% perfect, but it's pretty amazing on how close it can get, to a really well written email or even long form piece. So I hope as marketers you're using this today for email content creation, subject lines, multiple emails in a series. So like we often say, great, create this email. Yes, we love that first email. Now create 2 or 3 more complementary emails that could be used by marketing or a BDR. Landing page copy, web copy, and long form content. All of it is a great starting point, right? And we use it exactly that way. And I think the leading guidance across the marketing industry is using it that way. Use it to accelerate your operations. None of us are completely there. Well, I shouldn't say none of us. I can't talk for everybody. Nobody in my department is to the point where we're going to say, oh yeah, we'll just blindly take whatever any of these solutions provide and just use it. But we use it as a starting point, and it can accelerate our content creation efforts incredibly. And we have it built into Act On, and it's really amazing at how well it works. So hope everyone's using that. Content creation in the form of graphics, we're using more and more. There's a number of companies out there today that are focused on this for static graphics, images, emails, web pages. You can go right to ChatGPT, you can go to Google Gemini, you can go to DALL-E and Midjourney and Runway are probably a little more advanced. Again, it's a starting point, or in many cases, depending upon how proficient you are and how good the system is, it can be an ending point. And you can create. I'm always surprised at what kind of images. I'm not on the creative side, so I'm not. But when I want images, and I can just go in and say, "Hey, give me an image of this thing." Well, that's good enough for my use, and it's done. And I don't need to take any more time than the 5 to 10 minutes it was to go generate the prompts and maybe go through some iterations. So it's amazing. I hope your creative teams are using it. And again, it can be a starting point, or you can buy into some of these systems that can just do a lot of the simple email images you need for like an email or a web page. Video gets more complex. There are solutions out there that can help you do it. I think, again, if you're using a lot of video or want to use a lot of video and you haven't invested the time and the money into it, this is worth investigating, because it can really get you started, or it can just accelerate that whole process, which makes it more feasible to use a lot more video in your marketing efforts. And then another thing that we found incredibly useful, really as sort of a stepping stone for our video production, is using voiceover or music for videos. So on all of our demo video creations that we do, we use a voiceover. We've trained, so it's always a consistent voice and a consistent tone, and we've trained the system on that. We give it a script, it can read the script, and we use that against the video that we've captured. So it's reduced our demo video creation time considerably, probably 20-25%. Moving on, brand alignment. Another thing we've been super pleased with, and we think this will take more acceptance as marketing teams really see the value in this and figure out how to use it. I think we're really in the early stages of this today, so it's definitely happening today, but I bet we'll see a lot more adoption in the near future. We're using a system that we've trained it to check all content for our brand alignment. So tone, words that they use, Well, here are all these things that are listed on the page, right? The narrative arc is clear. The effective use of customer quotes, the strength of the grammar and the sentence structure and things like that, right? So we're now running all of our content generation through a brand alignment AI system, and it's just making sure that as all the marketing team is running very fast, that it all adheres to the same brand principles. All right, so that's kind of, we started with content creation, leveraging a lot of the tools that I think most of you are pretty familiar with. Now let's step into more of the predictive analysis types of AI and machine learning, right? So out of the sort of conversational and the generative AI, now more to the classic machine learning and advances that AI is making there. Predictive lead scoring has been around for a long time. I expect that many of you who have been using marketing automation for a time have had some experience with it, but it's getting better and better and better. As the AI models are getting more powerful, the predictive lead score is getting much, much better. So just quickly, if you're not familiar with it, the predictive lead scoring basically uses AI machine learning to analyze your customer journey, your customers' journeys across all the touch points that they've had. Also looking at their demographics and firmographics and applying just machine learning to map what they see is actually converting to opportunity and to revenue versus your manual static scoring model, right? So it's taken all the same inputs and quite possibly a whole number more and doing its magic to say what it predicts will actually turn to opportunity and revenue. So very powerful. I think everybody should also get familiar with this and testing and fine tuning the models for your particular use case. Segment identification or customer audience identification. Sorry, I think a little bit of our own terminology is bleeding into this. We call these segments, but really we're talking about how do you identify and target specific audience segments for your marketing efforts. And so the technology that we're using and we think is going to become more and more commonplace will use AI to look at your entire audience that you have within your marketing automation solution and identify segments that are unique. So for instance, some of the ones that are just shown here, we found that 12,000 contacts have downloaded this specific set of content recently. You might want to send them a specific follow-up email. We've realized that 2,000 contacts have increased their percentage of email opens. They're indicating that they're more engaged than they used to be. You could send a specific communication to that group as well. So it's looking for patterns and helping you identify unique target audiences that then you could personalize content and further engage them. Really powerful stuff. Very useful on its own. As you'll see, it plays a key part in automating marketing automation as a whole. Email bot filtering, another one that, I think most of the industry is sort of identifying bot or bad email addresses based on IP addresses and stuff. That's been around for a little while. Again, AI changes this game completely. And so now we're leveraging AI machine learning algorithms and learning algorithms to identify behavior that is indicative of an email bot versus human activity. And I should probably step back and say, well, let's make sure everybody understands what an email bot is, the way we're using the term. More and more companies are using what we're calling email bots, what the industry calls email bots, to open all of your emails and click on all the links and check for fraudulent or phishing or any sort of bad behavior. So these are essentially security agents in the form of a bot agent that is opening all your emails and clicking on everything and checking for bad stuff, bad actors. And it's really causing havoc on us email marketers in the industry because that in sort of the old technology, that comes back and says, this is great. Like, you've got all of these opens and all of these clicks through your email. And wow, all of a sudden your open rate is now 50%, or it was 10%. You must be doing great. It's like, no, actually, it just means you got a high proportion of the recipients. Their company has installed an email bot and it's opening everything. That doesn't mean that there's not a person behind there also engaged, but using old technology, you couldn't tell. We like to talk about it as like, there's now a fog. Anything that was opened by an email bot now creates a fog. The old technology couldn't tell whether there was an engaged human behind that or not. And it's throwing off your rates, and it's throwing off your triggers for your marketing automation, and it's causing havoc. So we've created technology that and other people have similar stuff out there, but it's using AI to identify known bot activity and known human activity based on behaviors and pattern and timing and who it's coming from and IP addresses and a whole bunch of parameters. So much smarter, much more powerful, real time. And it's basically cleaning up our data again and allowing you to understand who's really engaged versus who's noise. So we're excited about that. And we think it's going to, since email and is such a big part of marketing automation, this is going to really help all of our customers improve their performance. Content suggestion. So this is definitely something that's coming in the future. But if you think about the models that are used to do predictive lead score and understand what's engaging audiences versus not, and really getting it down to what's engaging what types of audiences, this is the fundamental thinking behind content suggestion. So it's analyzing what content has been effective. And sorry, by content, in this case, we're particularly talking about CTA content, downloadable assets, offers that you're giving through the channels that you're using to engage your customer base. So assets or CTA offers. Analyzing that data and what's most effective engaging your target audiences and understanding that, the particular specifics about your target audiences so that you can come back and say, I'm doing an automated program to the financial services industry and these types of titles. And here's, what I'm trying to accomplish. What content works best and what would you recommend? The AI will go through all that data and say, yeah, here's what's worked the best for you in the past. Here's what we recommend. So really powerful stuff on its own, should improve everyone's performance. Again, it's like, wow, I didn't have this insight before. Now I do. And now I can hone my, all of my outreach through across my various channels by improving, my CTA offers. But so great, super powerful on that level. And it's going to tie into just making this all more automated, as you'll see in a moment. Next best action, kind of a funny name, but it's the way that the industry is talking about this capability. It's taking that same sort of thinking and saying, okay, great. I've engaged this audience through, an automated program or campaign or, a channel. What should I do next? And it's going to take all of that learning that we've been talking about, the content within the email and understanding what emails are performing the best, what social media messages are performing the best, what text messages are performing the best, how to talk to them, and what CTA assets you've been offering and saying, okay, well, what should I do next? And saying, okay, so it could come back and saying, well, here's another email you could send them with this offer, or it's like, you just sent them an email or talk to them through a phone call. You should probably reach out through social media. And here's the content that you should use. Here's the type of offer you should use. So tying a bunch of those things together and saying, based on everything you know about the customer journey for this particular target audience, what's the most effective thing you should do next? Like, really powerful stuff, really taking all of that massive data and making data-based recommendations. So super excited about this. as you can tell, there's a number of steps we have to get there. But this is where it starts to take some of the thinking out of our jobs that we might have gone in and said, oh, let me go analyze my email performance. Let's go analyze my content performance. Let's go track my customer journey and see what's happening and analyze it and make some manual decisions about what's working and what's not, and what's the next best step I can take in any given scenario. It's going to do all that for us, and in seconds, not hours or days, and going to come up with the answer. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm really excited about it. It's going to be cool. So that's kind of along the lines of the predictive analytics stuff, using machine learnings to crunch a whole bunch of data to recommend actions and tell us what's going to work and who's going to be highly engaged and eventually move into the pipeline and hopefully sell. Let's talk a little bit about natural language processing, which is a AI technology that's been around for a while, and it's working our way into our systems as well. So one thing that we see happening across the industry today is natural language processing for analytics. And for me, it's made it so much easier to use not only our advanced analytics packages, but a number of analytics packages that I use. So the idea is, instead of setting up all your data structures and your filters to get the analysis that you want, and having to understand how to use all those levers and knobs properly, you just go in and ask the question that you want answered. Show me the top 10 messages with the highest click rate over the last 30 days. And it sets it all up for you. What was my best performing piece of content? What was my best performing piece of content to this particular industry? Any question like that, you ask it, it's going to do its best to set up that analysis and that report for you. And then, of course, you have the option to kind of continue to hone and ask it more questions, or to take over the controls and say, awesome, thanks. You've set up the basic structure for me. And now let me go sort of fine tune the levers and the knobs, as I was talking about. So mass improvement over what it was, 3-4 years ago. And I really see this as the tip of the iceberg. If you look at systems like, the BI systems like Tableau, I've used Tableau in a lot of things, so it comes up first. But, any of the other Click or any of the BI solutions, this is going to be revolutionary for them, because you don't need to fully understand how to use their tool to get really powerful analytics out of it. So I think we're going to see really interesting stuff happen, and sort of a revolution in BI capabilities when we get to the point where marketers don't need to know data structures, don't need to know SQL queries, don't need to know how to use these really complex BI tools, but have really complex questions to answer. And we can go in and say, hey, go, set up the data that matches my customer journey information that I have in my marketing automation solution with all the data that I have in my CRM system around this particular industry with this other set of data. I want to understand my conversion rate by title or marketing channel or whatever, right, within this particular industry, within my customer data set. And it'll go structure the data, and then it can go generate the reports for you. So incredibly powerful. And we're already seeing the beginning of this. We offer this level. This is a screenshot from us. We offer this level of report querying. And I think it's just going to get so much more powerful as we go forward. So now that gets to, this kind of pulls in a number of these different features and takes it to the next level. When is it going to get to the point where it just tells us what the performance recommendation should be, right? This is a little bit like next best action, but we're still kind of at the recommendation level. It's taking the sort of natural language processing of reporting and saying, hey, to improve your email performance, here's 5 things you should think about. Or to improve your landing page performance, Here's the next things that you should focus on that you're not already doing today. And so using the AI based on its knowledge of what you're doing, um, what's best practice across the industry, and what it can analyze in terms of sort of gap analysis to provide data-driven recommendations on how to improve performance. Like, we see this coming. This is definitely in the future. A lot of people working on it, so it's right around the corner. Of course, it's not easy. This is not easy stuff. So we'll see how long it takes, but I know they're working on it today, and it's going to be exciting. And again, it's going to have huge improvements for us as marketers who are so busy trying to get so many things out the door that we don't always have time to do the deep analysis um, on what's working and not to um, kind of really drive these recommendations. This is going to be like just tell me what I should be doing. Okay, I'm going to speed up a little bit because I think I'm a little behind schedule. Conversational AI agents. This is like, so yeah, we're not talking about your daddy's old Buick. We're not talking about the old brick phone. We're talking about this new powerful smartphone that can talk to you. So similarly, when we think about website chatbots, I'm sure a lot of you have had experience with these, that they're very formulaic and, goes in and asks you a few questions, and based on the outcome, it'll tell you something or it'll send you over to a salesperson. Yeah, that's not this. That still exists in today's market. But when we talk about AI driven chatbots, or what's being called agents, AI agents for the website, it's more like your experience with ChatGPT or Gemini, where you go in and ask it a question and it's conversational with you. What is marketing automation? Marketing automation is using like that. What can Acton do in this space? What are your feature sets? What's your pricing? It will give you all those answers in a conversational model based on the data set that it has, its website, and other sort of data sources that it's had. Really powerful. What we've seen from various vendors across the industry is this experience is much more fluid, much more powerful, very flexible, and getting users the answers much quicker than sort of what they're talking about as generation one chatbot agents. So doesn't need a lot of programming to get started. It goes and reads your website and whatever data sources. And honestly, again, my prediction, this is the future. Like, we're going to see this improve in its accuracy and capability and flexibility, and then it's just going to kind of merge into your website and become the search and always available. And then all of a sudden your website is just going to be kind of like driven by AI. Like, why would you go and try to navigate a static website? Why wouldn't you just go in and ask some questions, and it would bring up fully dynamic, personalized web pages based on your AI and who you are and what you're looking for. And I'm really interested to see where this goes. Similarly, so that's for the website. We've got in-app chatbots that kind of takes that native natural language processing to more of a chatbot experience, where you can then tell it to do things like, hey, tell me what new segments I should be looking at. It'll tell you. Great. Can you build an email to that particular segment? And then it'll jump over to the generative AI piece and create a piece of content. So this is happening. We're seeing it in various systems as well. And it's really kind of taking the place of just doing all the clicks for you and tying all those pieces together. But it's pretty cool too. Automated workflows. All right, so this is like the place where all of these things start to stitch together. When today we have audience identification and segmentation building, we have content, email creation, and subject lines and web page content creation. We have graphical creation, so now you can create a whole email or social media post or whatever it is, AI driven. All those things can happen separately. Very soon, we're going to have content recommendation. Very soon, or maybe in the following future, we'll have next best action. Stitching these things together is just tying the workflow together, and it's getting us very close to saying, hey, build an automated program for me, going out, to this audience segment, and here's what I want it to accomplish. Like this is a promotional email, or this is a nurture email, or this is a customer email announcing our whatever. And it's just going to be like, great, I found your audience. Here's emails fully built with graphics, subject lines, everything. I developed a landing page for you as well, for these particular assets that you're offering. Please review and hit the easy button. That's going to be amazing. That is really putting the automation in marketing automation. And the next step after that is mass personalization, which we've talked about, I think, for at least 15 years, probably 2 decades. This is what's needed to say, you know what? Forget about these segments. Just make a segment of one. When Jeff Day shows up, we know that, he's not going to respond to us in text. He's not going to respond to us on social media. He's only going to respond to us in email. And here's the tone that he likes: short and sweet, get to the point. So we're going to send him a series of emails once a week until he responds to us, right? Now we've got like mass personalization, all driven by AI. And that, of course, is a long way out. But I think this is what it takes to get there. And that'll be really cool. Right. This is the big easy button. Let's tie them all together. Right. Recommend, like, next best action and how can you improve your systems. Great. Go build it. Constantly analyze what's working and what's not, and personalize each of those message at first to a target audience and then to an individual person. Yeah, just go do it all for me. Of course, there'll be a period there where you're checking each step along the way, which, like, we absolutely should have that. But imagine how fast you could move if you're like, yeah, go do that. Okay, that looks pretty good. Next step. Okay, yeah, that looks awesome. Great. Okay, maybe make some iterations. Like, we'll be launching campaigns, highly targeted, highly effective, highly personalized campaigns in minutes or hours, not days or weeks, right? That's where this is all going. So AI changes everything. In the middle of this is the data, right? Everything's on data. AI needs a massive amount of data to be effective. So let's look at the data. First party data is all the data that you have, all the data about the prospect and lead that they've shared with you, what they've done on your website, what they've filled in the forms, what you have in your CRM system. And then you have the augmented data or enriched data. Like, most of us buy some data augmentation from all the, Zoom Info and other provider, Zoom Info, and all the other providers out there, around company and maybe contact, and maybe you augment that through LinkedIn on contact information. Third-party data is often, that is a form of third-party data, but, particularly, what other data can you get? I'm super excited about the intent data that we now have access to, right? Like the ABM data from various sources about what is these various companies or people doing across the internet, not just on my website, and how can that help inform how I want to talk to them, whether, the lead score, essentially, whether we think that they're engaged in a buying motion already or not. So bring that into the system. Of course, sales data out of your CRM system or any other system. Talked about intent data already. And then custom data. And what we're seeing a lot of our customers trying to do is bring in their own. Yes, it's first party data, but it's more custom data. Like, for instance, we have loan operators, financial services company who want to say, hey, we've got this group of buyers who are at this rate. When the rate drops below this level, we want to send them this automated program, right? So that means that we need to bring in, what their loan rate is at, against a given set of target audience, right? So custom data like that. AI ties it all together, bring it into a common unified data like a CDP. Maybe it'll be called something different in the future, but that AI engine needs access to all that data to do all the things that we've talked about, and then send it out through all the various channels we've been talking about, right? So very powerful. We do, in all of this effort, as you're thinking about taking advantage of AI, how do you leverage all of that data and bring it into your system? Good. I think I brought us back on time. So fantastic. I don't want to catch the wave. What should I be doing now? Uh, First of all, just, if you're not already, get your hands dirty, right? Get into it. Start using ChatGPT or Gemini or any of the generative AI tools on your own and in your marketing, and just play with it. It's actually very approachable at this point. So, push it and see what it can do. Something we didn't talk about very much, but we're finding a lot of, partially because it's not really within the marketing automation world, but we're finding a lot of use for it in marketing, is Gong AI or similar tools, Zoom AI, whatever you're using for your online meeting, or what your sales team is using for their call system call transcript information. Man, it's been a powerful learning tool for us, because now as a marketer, I can go in and look at all of the calls that are happening across my sales team and use AI to pull out keywords, identify where they're talking about a particular solution or particular product. Or say, what I do a lot is say, hey, I want to hear anytime our competitor comes up. And then I'll zoom in and listen to that conversation and hear what the customer is saying about our competitor and then us. So we know kind of, that can come back and inform our messaging and competitive positioning, right? So if you're not using it today, I really recommend it, because it's an extremely valuable piece for improving your marketing, kind of more on the product marketing side, but that feeds down into campaigns and how you talk to your customers. Similarly, leverage your online meeting tools. This is just an efficiency thing. Like, we found so many efficiencies in saying, hey, can I just use the summary that ZoomInfo or Fireflies is giving us instead of having to retype those notes? I'm just going to take that summary, all the action items identified, and kind of cut and paste it or share it with the rest of the team. And then we use that as our notes, so that somebody doesn't have to be note taker and taking time to do it. It's pretty effective. They don't, at this point, they don't miss action items, and they're pretty good at summarizing the key points. So it's been a very good system for us. Recommend people seeing how much they can take advantage of that. It's available today. Similarly, you can dump call transcripts. This is actually something our sales team does a lot more than we do on a marketing side. But instead of updating notes in a CRM system, they use their call transcripts. If it's not automatically in Gong, they use their call transcripts and dump it into one of these other systems and have it summarized, and then they transfer it over to CRM system. So it takes them a minute, as opposed to having to take really good notes in a meeting. I skipped that one because I already talked about at the top. But as all of the things I've talked about are evolving and becoming more available to you, play with them. I know it's kind of like you got to get over that feeling of, I don't know how to use this, or I don't, know what's going on. And it's kind of uncomfortable to learn a new system. But I think, like I said, the wave is coming. Got to get your hands dirty. Go in and play with the AI that's available across all of your MarTech stack, and see how you can get value out of it and get the most value out of it. It's going to continue to evolve. Maybe it's not where you want it to be today, but it's evolving so fast. It's crazy. So let's get in there and leverage it and see what you can get the most out of it. Let me stop there. I know I'm getting close to the end, so let me stop presenting there. Be this guy, be Gabriel Medina, and I hope for you the best on your AI journey.
Very good, Jeff. That was quite interesting. Thank you so much. Let's get to a few questions. Michelle asks, what does this look like for data security when it comes to using information with AI?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic question. Because of all the data, data security is increasingly important as well. And us as marketers have an obligation to maintain the data security, both the data security controls, and just maintain a high ethical standard for how we're using our customers' data. But there's a lot of lines out there in terms of GDPR and collecting website data and third party data and cookies or not cookies. My recommendation is be ethical and allow your customers and visitors to control their data. It still gives you a lot of room to use the data that they're giving you. Like, a lot of people still opt in, so it's still available.
Very good. Jim asks, do email bot filters consider time on a web page associated with an email click? And if it does, can the time on a web page parameter be adjusted? For example, only report on recipients that visited a page for more than 10 seconds.
So one of the things that we're doing, I guess the answer is sort of. One of the things that we're doing is tracking the visit to a website as an identifier of clear indication of human activity, of whether they actually land on the website or not. I shouldn't say clear. They're using it as a parameter in the AI tool, and the AI is doing its magic. I have not heard that we are looking at the time spent on a web page as an indicator of a click or an open. That's interesting. So I guess my clear answer on that is I don't know, and I don't know what the rest of the industry is doing on that particular parameter as well, but it's a very interesting question.
It does seem like something that, if not yet, probably at some point soon, huh?
True. Yep.
All right. Jeff, I think that's all our audience questions for now. I want to thank you so much for your time today. It was an amazing presentation.
Awesome. I hope it was useful.
It really was. And thanks again to Act On for sponsoring today's presentation. We truly value your feedback in the audience, so please click on the link that should be popping up on your screen shortly, and it will also be posted into the chat. You fill out a quick survey to share your thoughts on today's session. Thanks again for joining us, and I can't wait to see you at our next Marketing Profs event.
Thank you, everyone.